whole thing. I'm
This
just
is the body. of the
It's okay,
teapot.
yeah, no
That's
problem.
gonna be the body of the dish.
So, I guess technically I should probably make it even smaller for like the Japanese teapots, but
How many
Oh,
pounds
so
over
it's
this?
this is 1 pound. Yeah.
1 pound.
Or a Korean teapot.
How much water do you think you're gonna watch it? Sorry.
Maybe like a cup.
It's like holds a cup.
Japanese teacup.
Yeah. Maybe
So-
Japanese or Korean. Yeah.
So that's individual size. In my house.
Yeah,
it's-
I mean, you're
Barely.
not pouring yourself a big cup of coffee or a big cup of tea. You're having like little cups and you're sharing like. I would just try.
So un-American.
Right.
Like, give me a
A gallon of tea.
yeah, or anything. Size is.
Well, why are you using the kick wheel today?
I usually use the kick wheel.
Showing.
I almost always use the kick wheel.
He's in really good shape. He just
A
came
lot
back
of
from
times I
hiking.
get in. A lot of times I get in and there's a bunch of stuff on this wheel and I just sort of resign myself to using the wheel down at the other end.
Don't do that.
It's like, it's too much work to do all that stuff. So
Sometimes if you look at Nolan, his right thigh is like this big. And his
Mhm.
Oh,
left
I'm sorry.
thigh is
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Kick wheel thigh.
when I was an undergrad, we had electric wheels, but I really only ever used the kick wheel. And I had sandals, and like this side was all worn off, and that side was all worn off. And kicking this way and stopping like that.
So you
And just
got
on one
smart.
foot.
Sorry.
Sneakers seem to be a little smarter anyway.
What's that?
So you limp when you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean sneakers. That seems to be a hazard. That doesn't seem smart.
All right. So a tiny piece of clay for what people think of as teapots around here. Open it. I keep it fairly narrow. Compress the floor. Make sure I'm the right depth here, because I'm not going to trim this.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Probably go a little deeper than that.
How thick are you doing this?
A little less than a quarter pound.
An inch.
Sorry, quarter inch. Yeah. Sorry.
Low less than a quarter. Okay.
All right. Bring it in. Volcano. Establish our groove. All right. So this is going to have a gallery. Okay. So the gallery is the place where the lid sits. So I'm going to leave the top a little bit thicker. So I'm going to grab onto it. I'm going to pull the clay up and in. I'm going to stop and I'm going to leave this much clay here. Okay. So I'm leaving some thickness there. I'm not pulling all the way through it. Make my groove. Pull it up. This time when I compress, you can do this at any stage really, but I'm just going to flatten that. So I know that I have enough clay here for that lip. Okay, one nice little pull. So I made the groove and I'm going to pull that up. Enough excess. Just shaping a little as I'm smoothing here. What I'm going to do is I'm only shaping this belly part, right? I'm not going all the way to the lip. I'm making sure that this does not go above, a certain point, so that I keep that bulk in the rim. What I'm actually going to do right now, and depending on the shape of your teapot or the shape of the jar that you're making, you might do the gallery after you shape it. I'm going to be pushing this out pretty far, so if I do the gallery after I shape it, I'm probably going to collapse my form. So I'm going to do the gallery now, and then I just have to be careful with it later. All right, so what I'm going to do, make sure that this has some space to work here. So I have this bulk here. I'm going to take my chamois, I hold it like that and like that. So kind of scissor fingers between the two things. Your hands are facing each other. So it's not, I'm not trying to do anything like really weird with my hands. They're just, I have one hand facing this way, the natural position, and one hand facing this way. And I just grab onto it with those two fingers. Then what I'm gonna do is, this one just kind of stays here and it wraps around. This little guy kind of goes underneath the rim, and then my thumb pushes down. Just push down with your thumb. Don't push down with your, don't push down here. You want to I'm keeping everything else where it is. I'm just pushing down with my thumb.
Is it just your thumbnail or the
Thumbnail. Right. Yep.
And the chamois is just to keep everything in place.
It's to kind of smooth it as you go. There's another way that you can do it with this rib here. So what you can do is just allow the clay to go between your fingers, and then this is basically doing the same thing that my thumb would do. And you just kind of press down until you get to the right depth. Okay. I don't like how sharp of an, like it's just a little too rigid for me. I like the softness that I get with the chamois. It's a little, I mean, it's not
wet.
Yeah, the chamois is very, so when I dip it, I'll just get the drips off. I'm not squeegeeing it off. I just kind of like get the drips off. Okay, and it still has a lot of water in it. I'll do half of the half of the gallery, and I'll come back and I'll reset my hands, because as you do this, it's going to lengthen that surface, and it'll fill up the chamois. Okay, so it'll get to a point where if you keep pressing down with your thumb, you're pressing the whole thing down and you'll collapse it. So you have to just give it a little bit more slack and come back and then press it down again.
That looks so easy when you do it.
So
It is
how
easy.
deep does the gallery go?
The gallery should go at least as deep as your lid is going to be thick.
Are you supporting it on the inside while you do that?
Yeah, I'm supporting down here and I'm pressing.
So you're pressing
here.
your
I'm
thumb
not, like,
into your other finger, sort of?
You have to. You can squeeze a little bit, but you don't want to like squeeze so much that you make it really, really thin. I also don't want this to be really like wide in here. I just want it to be like a quarter
Enough
inch.
to- yeah.
Right? So it's a 1/4 inch tall, it's a 1/4 inch wide. The ledge is a 1/4 inch wide. And the other thing that you need to pay attention to is like this surface right here, this wall. It needs to be angled out slightly. Okay?
Okay.
If it's straight up, if there's like a little indent there, or if it's angled in, what'll happen is as the piece is firing, your lid will relax into that, and then it'll lock in place, and you'll never get it apart. Without breaking it, of course. All right, so
That never
had a
happened. Lid get stuck,
So many
or
places
do
to go.
you manage to avoid that?
I mean, every once in a while I'll stick a lid.
Yeah, because I know that's pretty common, but I just wondered if
If it was for the professional.
you can avoid it.
Oh, geez.
It just depends on what
So
Yeah,
you're
how I'll-
moving it up and down a little.
kind of.
I've been trying to do that.
I've been
lately.
trying to belly it
Yeah,
out,
doesn't
things like
work.
that, and it just, I think I do it the wrong.
It's probably too thick of clay. So could you show me like which part of that rib you use?
I'm using
Big one?
like the
Oh,
round
the
part.
end, not the side. The end, okay.
Okay, I'm kind of running into the gallery here, so I just got to use my fingertips now. Oh, it's really thin. You can see how thin it is there.
Oh, that's, beautiful.
And see, I'm doing a little bit of damage to the gallery there. I'm not really too worried about it right now. As long as it's still there. I'm gonna figure out what shape I want here. Get back from it a little bit.
Pretty.
It's beautiful.
I think it's a fine shape.
I think it's beautiful.
I hope I don't get too thin, because I need to put a handle on it. I usually do a side handle on these things. I don't want to, because it can fall down because the side is too thin. And I'm gonna go back and just clean up the gallery. So basically all I'm doing is I'm holding this in place. I'm just kind of squeezing between these two fingers just to flatten that gallery back out. Make sure that this has that outward angle slightly. Doesn't need to be extremely dramatically outward angle, but it needs to be an outward angle. Come back and clean up the form a little bit. Fussing with this a lot. It's a little different shape than I normally make, but I think it'll work.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get a little foot here. Just a little foot. Just gonna push this under and then rotate it up.
Wait, can you do that one more time? 'Cause I've seen you do it a million times now.
So you push it under, so I'm using this whole surface here. Go underneath, and it's kind of like a ramp. And then you kind of rotate it up a little bit, and that'll give that little bit of a ridge there. And then you soften it. I'm gonna be right where you are, Jackie.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I like to push that back in just a little bit there.
You're pushing in?
Yeah, just right at the base. Yeah. All right.
Nice shape. It's in a beautiful
All right, now I'm gonna get the water out without damaging it.
shape.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
All right, now I'm gonna measure the gallery, okay? So this is the side you wanna use on this particular caliper. Make sure I'm in the right, I'm not in the 12.5% hole there.
So is that different for different clay?
No. If you break your lid and you're using stoneware, you can make a new lid if you transfer it to this hole.
Yeah. It actually works.
Okay, I want it to touch. Okay, I want it to touch the wall right where it's meeting the floor there. Okay, and I rotated it 90 degrees. Sometimes if it's a little bit oblong and you measure it, either it might be a little bit too big or a little bit too small. So if you measure it twice, then you can kind of compensate for that.
Measure
All right.
twice, cut once.
All right, so I'm just gonna cut it.
Oh, where's your glass?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I was looking. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Wow.
So there's the body of the teapot. Now we're gonna throw the rest of the parts off the hump.
Using that right there. I know. Beautiful.
Wow, it's big part.
It's gonna do a bunch of pieces.
It's gonna be a bunch of parts. Yeah.
Oh.
Spout, lid.
Lid, spout, handle. I could throw a bunch of like little teacups off of it if I wanted to.
What? I gotta see this.
You ever seen anybody
I can't even
Have you-
imagine what this is.
Have you ever never seen anybody drop
It's
the hump
magic.
before?
No.
We did that last couple weeks back.
Magic, magic.
Okay, so I'm gonna center it. I'm gonna cone it and center it a couple times. When you're throwing off the hump, you can get a lot of cracking. Like, well, I've gotten like in the past. I've been doing this for a long time. When I was first starting out doing it,
If I cannot do like this one by one, I make, then it's a difference.
yeah, you're gonna have to weigh out tiny little pieces of clay.
So it's
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, it's really hard to center tiny pieces of clay.
So much easier.
Oh, really?
The hard part is getting it off nicely, right?
Oh.
I mean, for
That's
me,
like
that was.
so much clay. I don't think I
How many pounds do you have this one here?
I can't even set
Four.
that pound yet.
It might be like 4 pounds. I
4
don't know.
pounds?
I mean,
So you just gotta use leverage.
it's a little bigger.
So the way that I'm doing it, I'm not trying to muscle it around. I got my elbow wedged and I'm pushing my body into the clay. So I'm not really using any muscle to do this. I'm really just using leverage from my body.
Okay.
And you only have to center the top part,
Right.
and then you can center as you
go.
keep throwing
Oh,
off
okay.
the top of the hump, then you can center the bottom part as you go.
Are you using your right hand?
Yeah, I do it weird.
He
I
does
do
it
weird.
different.
Yeah. If you do the regular
I
way.
could use my left
Oh,
hand too.
okay.
Okay, when I push it down, I'm going to use my left hand, kind of pushing forward and down, and then I'm going to pull back in the middle with my right.
not easy.
You need to keep it.
Yeah,
keep it pretty
centering is
centered
so
here.
hard.
I'm gonna do this 3 or 4 times. The more you wheel wedge, the less likelihood you're gonna get cracking.
Is that what that's
Like
called?
wheel wedging, yeah. Like you get a lot of S cracks when you do throwing off the hump if you're not careful.
So especially hump, you do 4 times. Normally you do only 2 times.
Full time.
Bye.
Oh, okay.
She's going to Prague.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty nice. So I saw this YouTube thing where somebody is throwing off the hump, but when I take, when I'm taking something off the wheel head, when I grab it at the foot, I always kind of
Squish it.
squish
Mangle,
it.
yeah.
So they actually have this extra cookie, what they call it, extra blank that they factor into their piece, so that when you grab it off the wheel, you're sort of
You're grabbing a
torquing
different
that.
part of
You're not-
not-
You're below the
You're not
actual
grabbing the
pop.
actual piece.
But they've got it wired off so that it pops off real easily.
Oh.
It's kind of an interesting technique, which
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah,
demonstrate.
I'll talk about that a little bit. All right, so okay, I'll make the spout first, I guess. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I center the top of the clay, and I have my elbows braced. I'm using kind of my index finger, like this part of my index finger here on both hands, and both thumbs are together, but one is slightly behind the other. My right thumb is slightly behind the other. I'm gonna drop that right thumb down. I keep that left thumb on the top of the clay, so it's kind of centering it and dropping the hole at the same time. Okay, there's a couple different ways I'll do this. This is, I don't know what it's actually called, but I call it the claw. I'm gonna grab on here with my finger on the inside. I'm using my left hand to kind of pull up on this side, and this hand is bringing that clay up. So that's kind of like my first pull, and a little bit more all in one.
Is that specifically for a spout? It's smaller.
I'll do certain other things that way. Okay, so I'm feeling on the inside of the clay with this finger, like down at the bottom where that sort of thing kind of ends there. I kind of roll it underneath this finger. Okay, last little pull here, bring it up. So basically what a spout is it's just a tiny little bottle. We'll make it pretty thin. All right. There are a bunch of different ways to do spouts. Like sometimes they're very, very short. I like them to have a little bit of volume to them. I'm not a tea master or anything. It's just how I like them to look. Okay, so I have kind of like the basic outline of a spout here, or of a bottle here. Now what I need to do is I need this to be a bit smaller. So instead of just kind of barfing all the water out, it'll actually kind of direct it to go somewhere. So I'm gonna use my fingertips of my thumb and my index finger and the back of my finger of my middle finger. I have them kind of evenly spaced, kind of like a little star shape. And I'm gonna follow the contour of the shoulder of the bottle. So this is how I make a normal bottle. And my face, mind you, my face is over the clay here, so I can see what I'm doing, making sure everything is spaced properly. I'm gonna follow the shoulder. I'm gonna lift. I rotate my hands up, and that guides that clay up and in. Now I'm gonna get my pinky in here. You'll see me when I'm throwing off the hump, I do a lot of throwing with my pinkies. Because I'm not going like this with my pinkies. I have them, like that, and I have my thumbs and
Fingertips, right?
yeah, my fingertips, and I'm bracing it really, really well. I gotta thin it back to where it was before. I might take my metal rib here and shape that a little bit. Okay.
Ooh, beautiful. Oh my God. Look at that.
Okay, I just dip my fingertips in there and I wet the spout. Okay, now I'm gonna do it again. Just squeeze it in. I only have room for 2 fingers now. We'll lift it up. Okay.
That comes out pretty even. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, I know I'm not gonna need that much spout. That's a little bit longer than it needs to be, and it's thick. So I'm gonna cut it down here. Okay.
Nice.
Now I have my highly specialized, very expensive tool, chopstick
Oh,
here.
wow, where do I get one?
I'm just gonna put that in there. Notice I'm holding it with my right hand, really rigid, and I'm using my left hand to actually do the pulling, using my thumb. I'm pushing forward with my thumb here.
So is the tip doing it then?
Tip of my thumb?
No, the tip of the
Oh, the side.
side.
Oh.
So your thumb's going up the side.
Yeah.
Up the side on the
You don't really want to make a very long spout in this way because it really it'll untwist in the kiln. So this could be just a little bit shorter here.
What do you mean it will untwist in the kiln?
So as I'm throwing it, it's twisting this direction. If I were to cut an angle on it and as I was putting it together, it would untwist that direction in the kiln.
So
It's in the high fire.
So it would come unglued from the pot?
No. It moves. So like you have a spout that starts out like this, it'll be like this
Change direction.
if it's too long.
So how do you counteract that?
Like make
You keep them short or you make them a different way. There's a way that you can make really long spouts that's not like thrown on the wheel. It involves a sort of specialized like tapered dowel. It's called a spout maker.
Oh.
You can also use that extruder to do some hollow tubes too, and then go from there.
Yeah, the hollow tubes are just, I don't know, they don't look right. And because they're like all one,
I mean, you'd have
They
to
don't
do
look
some,
fluid.
you don't wanna
They
do it
probably look-
directly, but I mean, that would be a good start.
yeah. Another way to do it is to pull it like a handle, like start it and actually pull it, let it set up, cut it in half, hollow it out, stick it back together. I've seen people do it that way. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, this
Or slip cast, like do that and then slip cast it
That's a good idea.
with the same clay that you're using. So I don't know if you could see that. I rolled this into a
Yeah.
cone
yeah.
like this. I stuck it in there and then I fold it over. Okay, so that's compressing that edge. Okay, so it's like that. So that looks good to me.
Is that how you do your bottle tops too?
I mean, if I was doing like one of those onion bottles with the tiny
Yeah.
tops on it, yes.
Oh, but not a regular.
But not a
bottle.
regular bottle
You don't
because
need to do that.
I wouldn't need to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So now you took that bump out of the top, right? Wasn't it more like that before?
I want it to be kind of straight
When
out.
the shoulders kind of
Huh?
where it comes out.
Right here?
Yeah, you
Uh-huh.
made that like lower.
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It just looked different to me.
It might have been. All right, so I got one spout. I might throw another spout later. Okay, so right now I'm just gonna give this a place to cut it off. With the spouts, I don't usually worry about
Oh, that's right.
changing their shape a little bit. As long as I've cleaned off most of the slip, it'll be all right. I can pick it up. So this is my twisted fishing line. It's on a little pine derby wheel here. So what I need to do is I kind of place it in the groove that I just made, wrap the string around, and then tug the other side.
Looks that ridiculous.
And I don't really worry. I cut through the bottom. That's okay.
Yeah, because
fine,
it's
'cause I'm-
going to cut through anyway.
Yeah,
That's the nice part of it.
So then you assemble all the pieces when it's leather hard?
I'll assemble it next class. Yeah. All right, now we're gonna make a
it?
a handle for it.
Oh, you throw it.
It's going to be a side handle.
Cool. Okay.
So they're going to be, I might make two different ones just because the first one I make is it's kind of a big bulbous handle. So I'll just drop the hole. So I'm doing it a little differently now so you can see different ways to kind of approach it. So I'll open this up. And then instead of doing the claw, because it's already pretty vertical, what I'll do is I'll just actually grab my thumb here and pull it up. I don't very often use the same techniques to pull. I'm not going to use a knuckle pull on a tiny little thing like this. I use different ways of doing it. Okay, so the reason why I use this way instead of this way is because it's at a different height. I can make I just kind of make a fist like that, and I'm just using the tip of my thumb, and I push the clay up. All right. So this one has a kind of bulbous end that you hold on to. It's pretty thin, so it's hopefully fairly light. This is just my handle. Again, I'm not a tea master. I'm sure I'm doing it wrong, according to tradition. So I need to make it very thin and very light so that it doesn't do anything bad to the form in the kiln. So this will be one style of handle. All right. Squeeze it in. And lift it up.
I can't even picture the
Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'll make that really thin right there.
Wow. My gosh.
Okay, and if I cut it off here, it's just going to fall over. So I'll kind of give it a little platform to sit on. Actually, I should probably cut it even further down. I think it's hollow all the way down there. I'm going to give it a little bit wider platform. So I'm going to cut it actually right here. Okay, so this is going to stick to the side of the piece.
Wow, it's a lot of work.
Perfect.
Oh,
I've never seen a handle like that ever.
Oh my god.
I
All right, and I could just make like a normal jar lid. The type of lid that I like to do for teapots is this
one
one.
that doesn't fall out.
One that doesn't fall out, exactly. Okay, so this probably could be a little bit more narrow to start. As I drop the hole, it's going to get a little bit wider. Okay.
So what does this measure? This measures the exterior?
So this measured the inside of the gallery.
This did.
That did. And now this is going to measure the outside of the lid. So
Okay.
it fits into the gallery.
Right, so it's basically you took a
Sorry.
measure of the exterior there of the gallery.
No, I took a measure of the interior of the gallery here.
Oh, so
Okay,
this
and then it'll be the outside
corresponds
to the
to
lid.
that. Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay. You don't need to take, of course, you only need one measure.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, okay, again, I'm not just going like this. I'm not, with my pinky sticking out. I'm going to hold on to my pinky with my other hand. My elbow's braced over here. We're going to press down and drop the hole off center.
Is this upside down?
No, it's right side up,
Oh,
actually.
and that's gonna be the knob, right?
Oh my god.
The
This centerpiece will be the knob. Yep.
Oh.
And I bring this up. Okay.
don't think I can make it.
Wow, it's hard.
Oh,
I
my
guess I
God.
don't need quite this much clay here, so we're gonna get rid of it. Actually, we'll get rid of it after we flop it over. Better do it when we know how wide it needs to be. I squeeze that in just a little bit there. Okay, so now where I want to fold it over, I'm going to place that thumb there, and I'm going to take my index finger and just bring that over and around. Maybe a little premature squeezing it there. Okay, now drop the hole, pull it up. It's kind of too skinny, I can't get my finger in there without it suctioning. It's a little challenging just using your pinkies here. Can't really see what I'm doing with my hands in the way.
Do you need something?
Couldn't remember if I have a cut in half sponge. I'll just roll this one up and stick it in there. So I'll leave water in the bottom of my little knob here. All right, so I'm gonna bring this out just a little bit so you can grab onto it. And then we're gonna close it. Maybe. All right. Thin out that edge just a little bit, so I can extend it. Just gonna squeeze it in, close it off. So now I can shape it a little bit without worrying about it collapsing. And now, it seems a little silly and counterintuitive. What I'm gonna do is I gotta poke a hole in it.
It doesn't
Because
blow
it'll
up.
blow up.
No. Actually, that hole comes later.
Oh.
But kind of. So I'll shape after I close it off, I'll shape the top of it. And then I need to poke a hole in the top. Need to make sure that it is in fact a hole. It goes all the way down. You don't want any slip in the way. Keep drying off my needle tool here. Okay, so I can see kind of like the blackness of the inside of that. Now I'm gonna go in. Oh, darn it. I told you it was a little premature to squeeze that in. So we're just gonna drop that down a little bit so we can actually get to it here. So that is a vent. The hole that I made is a vent. And I'll close it back up. Because if I were to have that air trapped in there and try to squeeze it, that air is acting like a finger on the inside, kind of pushing back. I don't have my smaller sponges here, I don't think. Do you have a cut in half sponge? Anyone? I think I know where my cut in half sponges are.
Does someone have one? I have this that's not yet this. But
I'll borrow mine.
you got it?
Yeah. Just
Scissor?
with scissors.
Do it over here.
Okay, so now I'm going to squeeze this back up so it's not quite so wide. I'm going to drop this back down.
So the bottom is supposed to be, will fit into that hole.
Yes, theoretically.
And when you're drying it, do you dry them
I'm
together?
doing- No. Some people do. I want to make sure that they fit before I dry them separately. The reason why I'm not going to dry them together is because occasionally the piece will grab onto the lid and you know, when you fire it together and it's a little bit stuck, you can kind of get it together. But when it's greenware and you try to get it apart,
You just mangle
you're
the
gonna
shape,
well, you're gonna
probably.
mangle the shape, or you're gonna break the knob off.
Oh, yeah.
So now I could just use my calipers to mark it.
So is that gonna be flat?
It's crazy. I just, yeah.
Is it gonna be flat on the sides of this?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, ish.
I mean, from here, it looks. And then it's gonna have a bottom part that drops down in, right? That's it.
Yep. So I want it to touch. It's gonna be a little snug, maybe.
Rather it's snug for a teapot.
Yeah, you don't want it to jiggle around.
So you don't put glaze on the edge.
Correct. I could even go a little smaller. Instead of using my needle tool though, I'm just gonna kind of scrape it off with this. It's better. If I tried to use my needle tool, I'd have to take way too much off. So I have like a bunch of clay down here that I'm gonna have to trim off later. I'm gonna use like, I've heard this called the thumb. I'm gonna remove a little bit of material here. Okay. Then I'm gonna draw a line in it and then cut it off like this. Let me show you how to cut it off with a normal wire tool. You have one of my wire tools in there. Doesn't matter which one. All right, so if I'm using a regular wire tool, which I don't like to do, but if you don't have a twisted fishing line, this is what you do. You're gonna hold on to your wire like this. So I'm gonna hold it up with my right hand and down with my left hand. I'm gonna make sure I keep it as level as possible. And then as I go through, I need to go through in one wheel revolution. Otherwise you'll walk it right off. Okay, and it doesn't need to be perfect either. So we're gonna be trimming this anyway. I left enough clay that I can pick up the clay instead of the lid. All right, so that's technically all the parts. I might make some extras just in case. If I wanted to make a little teacup for it.
Just sort of like raised.
And you're gonna trim the lid so that there's a flange that goes down into the teapot?
It'll be, that's the
Yeah.
handle, yeah. So yeah, it'll sit down in there.
Okay.
Mhm. So if I was gonna make a bunch of them, I just make sure that I'm grabbing the same amount of clay for each one. This is gonna be kind of a big one maybe. Compress the floor really, really well. Okay, before I go to continue pulling this up, I'm going to determine where I'm going to cut it off so that I leave myself enough clay to trim, pick it up.
Very charming music. Lovely music.
That's me, and it's probably spam.
What are you looking for?
This thing,
That.
thing that disappears on the kick wheel.
So nice because it kind of mirrors the body of the teacup.
I just dropped it. picking up the clay, not the piece.
Can you make a donut?
I make a donut.
Yeah.
Edible one?
No, I mean, there,
Yeah, those rings.
where you, the rings where you can, I'm just kind of curious, can you do that or do you want to wait till next week to do that?
I'm
just
gonna
kinda
wait
curious.
till next week
Okay.
to do that.
Because I'm curious how that works. It's very intriguing to me.
I mean, I guess I could. Let me throw a couple extra. Well, I'm not gonna be able to do it with this because I like to
Yeah.
throw extra parts.
That makes sense.
That way,
No,
in
you
case
know,
I
I'm
drop
gonna
something,
leave early, so maybe do it next week.
I can do it next week, or even the following week.
We've got lots of
'cause-
time.
Yeah. It's gonna take me a good chunk of the class to put this
Same
together.
to you.
So
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right,
After
that's
this, yeah.
not urgent because
Thank you.
believe me, I'm nowhere near being able to do it. So, I'd like to see it done. That's all.
Just amazing. Are you making another cup?
I'm gonna make. I can make another cup.
Is that what you're planning to do?
I was gonna make another spout. Okay, so I'll just try to remember how much clay I grabbed on the last one. I think it was about that much. Was it that much? I feel like maybe it was a little bit more than that. All right, I'm gonna compress the floor. If I was doing a bunch of these, I would pay a bit more attention to what I was doing, I'm sure. You establish the floor there.
So fast.
They're similar.
Oh my god.
It's a little smaller. I knew I didn't quite grab as much clay as the first one. All right, now I'm gonna make another. Make another spout. I should make another spout just in case. I usually like to make a whole bunch of parts,
Oh.
a whole bunch of bodies and a whole bunch of parts, and kind of mix and match them a little bit.
So this, we should make all parts at once, right? At the same time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh my gosh. I don't think I can make it. Wow. A lot of practice. So this is extra one, right? Extra.
Yep, extra
Yeah.
just in case.
Mm.
Who knows? I might like the shape of this one better.
So this is regular chopstick, round one.
Mm-hmm.
Round one.
It was kind of a smaller chopstick.
Oh, I see. Because
It's just a dowel.
oh,
Do you find that making something the second time?
What?
Do you find that making something the second time is a lot easier?
Yeah.
maybe
I try
maybe
to
this is tough.
Start with something that, I can not use, and then get warmed up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Although sometimes the first thing I throw comes out just right, and after that, things start to go wrong. Kind of funny.
Yeah, my first one, when I'm making cups, my first one is usually like the smallest. My last one is usually the smallest for whatever reason. The second one's usually the tallest.
Mhm.
Second or third.
This is the same as people making like a vase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or it's more like a
Probably.
bottle.
Yeah, bottle. Yeah. Probably I have to practice this one because I never make this one. Oh, it is so funny. Too good.
Kind of messed up that first lid a little bit.
So I'll make another top.
Yeah, another lid.
Top. Oh, that's almost impossible.
Huh?
Impossible to make it.
Impossible?
Yeah, I don't know how I can make it. Yeah. But, oh gosh. I see many people making the top like this, but
See, if I'm just making it, it doesn't take very long. If I'm talking about it as I'm making it, it takes kind of a long time to do it. Guess I shouldn't worry about that part right now. We gotta do this part. That was too small. Perfect.
And after this, you just trim that part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Wait, let's see. Did I smooth it off well enough? The edge of that doesn't look quite right. I don't want to cut it off before that edge looks good.
And those things after that, you can do next week or
Yeah, I will assemble it next week.
next
yeah.
week. Oh, okay.
Just throw a slightly different style handle. Once I'm down to this low, it's harder to get your hands in the right position to do it. It's a slightly different shape.
Wow.
Let's see what.
Is that a handle?
Yeah, it's another handle.
Is that a different spout?
It's
It's
just
a
a different
different,
style
yeah.
handle.
Oh, it's a different handle.
Just to see which one I like the best. Maybe this one's a little bit closer to you might put in, I'll put in quotes traditional.
That's cool. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I see this one very often. Yeah.
All right, I'm out of clay, basically.
Oh, the last one. What do you make?
I don't think I'm gonna try to make anything
Whip
out
one
of
of
it.
those up right now. I just
I'm gonna make one more cup.